no recommendation on this question because it depends. Different context, different solutions. So it means depending in which area you are, and I will take two of them. If you are in the IT software industry, you have to be very quick because it's very quickly outdated, and so in this time it's a question of months. But if you are in the biotechnology industry, it's so long to get the product ready and to go on the market that you count in years. So different context, different solution. I think it's, and by the way, when you ask your question, you say, okay, I have the good model, I have the fun, and what I have to do. I would say that first, you have maybe the fun, then you have to test, then you have to find the fun, and then you go. Because we have a lot of examples where people have an idea, they went to VCs, they receive a lot of money, and that it was a failure because they never tested before. And I think before to get a lot of money or funding money, it could be interesting to test and to search the good model and to adjust this business model, keeping in mind that the first one is maybe not the best one. I think it's interesting to keep this idea. And the period you need, I think, is depending on the maturity of your idea, the amount of funding you need, the industry in which you are.
So it's still a question.
I think no. I didn't say that. No. Never silly question. I think that just it's a matter of relativity, and it's. I think there are no general answer or reply to. I think it's a good question for one entrepreneur to have this kind of thing, but depending on the context, depending on the environment, depending on this idea, depending on, you could try to come with good answer. No, it's not silly. Never. Okay, so in the book, it's true that we have presented 4 or 5 different techniques for ideation, storytelling, prototyping, customer insight. And since we have written this book, and we have now given a lot of workshops and keynotes and mini workshops and also teaching this at university, we have observed that one of the difficulty is to refine the value proposition and to fit this value proposition with the customer inside, with the customer have in mind. So trying to find a good fit between value proposition and customers. And so we refine this idea and we say, we have to come with another tool, another design thinking technique to improve the quality of this value proposition. And so we came with another add-on canvas that we call Value Proposition Designer, where we put 2 of those 9 blocks, 2 of the original model, and we say, okay, we will put the focus on those 2 and we will try to elaborate a little bit. And so in this new canvas we have 2 pieces. One is the customer, and we try to elucidate what's the jobs to be done, the gains, the pains, and we try to anticipate this one by a projection, if you want. And then we say, okay, if the jobs to be done of the customer is this one, and if his major pain is this one, maybe we could find or refine our initial value proposition to have a better fit of our value proposition with this kind of assumption. And so we came with this canvas that we tested the last year inside classroom, during workshops, on the web, and it seemed that it's quite useful to use this as an add-on tool where you have the big canvas, you say, okay, I have a first idea of my value proposition and I try to refine this based on better observation or better projection in the mind of the customers, and we try to better align those 2 ones, if you want. I think it's an idea of, it could be called customer insight, but I think it's much more precise than in the book. And so, and for this one we will try to come very soon with a booklet, maybe e-book or maybe a course, online course. We will see. We are now. We spent a lot of time recently with Alex, with some other partners like Alan, the designer, with some Greg, and so we worked now in the last 3-4 months intensively to produce the material that we would like to release soon. And so far, it's the canvas is already available. We Alex put on his blog website already a first explanation, but now we are collecting more material and preparing more material for presenting this new design thinking or ideation technique.
So you will introduce that to us too?
Ah, yeah, sure. Why not? Good.
Thank you.
It's true, and we never pretend that business model has replaced everything. It's just a tool, maybe useful, but we agree that business plan and some other techniques is necessary. What we think is business plan has not to be the first component, as it used to be when you wanted to create a company a couple of years ago. The message was, please come with a good business plan and try to get the money and so on. And for this one, we are quite reluctant. We are almost convinced that it's not a good technique. I think it's much more interesting to create first and to design first the business model, and then afterwards to switch and trying to convert this idea to a business plan and to go further. That's clear. And I will just mention, this business model canvas has been initially designed a long time ago, more than 10 years ago. In fact, at that time, I'm on a campus with a strong engineering school, EPFL. And you remember in the 90s, it was the internet, so many of them wanted to create their own startup, internet startup, e-commerce startup. And they had, at that time, maybe 12 hours all to build or to write a business plan for your idea. 12 hours, that's quickly done. And so they came with a kind of first iteration of the first idea of the business plan. They say, hey, Mr. Pigneur, is it good? And I was asking some questions, and I realized that most of them had no clear idea of their own business. They had just put numbers because they say VCs want to have numbers on the business plan. And so I was coming with the question, who are your customers? Tell me more about the product, or tell me more about the distribution channel you will choose, and why did you choose this one and not this one? And so I've observed that it's much more useful to have this kind of questions, this kind of design activity first, and then when you have a clear idea of what's your business model, to try to derive the business plan. I agree with the comment that it's not so easy to do, because you need to translate something which is at the conceptual level in something which is at number level, or with what we call sometimes business model economics. I agree, but I think it's a good way, and I think the business model could help to generate a better business plan. I think it's good. And also using the different techniques I've already mentioned, like prototyping, refining, and it's good before to jump directly on the Excel spreadsheet and put some numbers and explain the VC that in 3 years you will be millionaire.
Okay.
I think, as I told you, I think this question is very difficult for me, because it's true that we met a lot of startups, companies, we have observed something, but it's almost impossible to reply or to give an answer, an intelligent or smart answers for this, because again, it's so general. You have different sectors in which you can see that in some sectors it's pushing in this way, in some other is much more focused on process innovation, and there are, what we have seen, one of the things that could be interesting is, we know that this model and could be interesting for entrepreneurs. What we have observed in the last couple of years, that large companies have some troubles to reinvent themselves. this is maybe a trend. They are looking for the good model for reinventing themselves. So sometimes they recognize that they have to change their practice, and they have to come with something which is a little bit more inspired by entrepreneurs. But it's very difficult for them. If you are a big company, 200,000 employees and so on, it's a big machine. And so it's very difficult for them to come with this entrepreneurial spirit, if you want. And so I think it's a trend we have seen many companies trying to explore how to do, how to be more agile, and to come with some new ideas out of the box. And it's true for big companies. And we have been invited to come with a large company with this model to explain, okay, maybe we could use this canvas, even if we have tons of consulting firms, maybe to come with this. We have seen those companies still using their main consulting firm, but also choosing some much more design-oriented firms like IDEO. And since I'm a prof at university, we have seen also many business schools coming with, okay, we had a very strong curriculum for business students, which is mainly focused on decision making. And now we have maybe also to consider some design thinking activity and design and teaching and training and coaching in this design thinking world. And we have seen many business schools. Even yesterday I was at Yonsei University, and they have introduced a short course on design thinking techniques, because they have realized that if you want to be a good manager, a good executive, decision making is one, but design thinking is also, because okay, you have to design between 2 or 3 alternatives and choose the best one, but you have also to come with new ideas to be able to choose. And so for creating new ideas, you need maybe to use different techniques than you use when you have to design. And I think it's a trend. It's not so clear, it's not so strong, but I think it's emerging now.